The following content has been generated with artificial intelligence under minimal human supervision. The data presented may contain errors or inaccuracies. The opinions expressed in this content do not necessarily reflect the vision, position, or values of DigiAll. We recommend verifying critical information with additional sources before making decisions based on this content.
Welcome to DigiAll Tech News. I'm Kylie Brooks, and today is Saturday, December 27th, 2025. This is where technology becomes clear and engaging. We've got some fascinating stories today, from AI billionaires to microscopic robots, and even how virtual reality is changing lives in unexpected ways. Let's dive in. The AI boom just made America's tech elite over $500 billion richer in a single year. Scientists discover that musical expertise shapes your brain in some pretty specific ways, and it's not just about memory. Engineers have created the world's smallest programmable robot, and it's so tiny it can sit on a fingerprint. A trial attorney at 40 left her dream job to pivot into AI, and she's sharing why it was worth it. Virtual reality headsets are helping seniors combat isolation, and the results are genuinely heartwarming. Okay, let's talk about this AI wealth explosion. Yesterday, Bloomberg reported that the top 10 US tech founders and CEOs saw their combined net worth jump from $1.9 trillion to nearly $2.5 trillion in just 1 year. Elon Musk is leading the pack. His fortune grew almost 50% to $645 billion, thanks in part to his AI company xAI. He's now the first person ever to cross $500 billion. Meanwhile, Nvidia's Jensen Huang added nearly $42 billion to his fortune, as Nvidia became the world's first $5 trillion company. The company's chips are essential for AI processing, which is why investors can't get enough. But here's the reality check. The Bank of England is warning that if AI expectations don't pan out, we could see a sudden market correction. These valuations are stretched, and that wealth concentration is sparking serious debates about whether we need more effective wealth taxes. Now, this is fascinating from a neuroscience angle. A massive international study involving 33 labs and 1,200 participants looked at what makes musicians' brains different. They compared 600 experienced musicians, people with at least 10 years of formal training, with 600 non-musicians. What they found is that yes, musicians have a huge advantage in music-related memory, which makes sense. But they also showed small but real benefits in visuospatial memory. The verbal memory advantage basically disappeared when researchers controlled for intelligence and executive function. Here's what's interesting though. Musicians scored higher on open-mindedness and often came from higher socioeconomic backgrounds. So the question becomes, is it the training that shapes the brain, or are naturally capable people from supportive environments more likely to stick with music? The study can't answer that definitively, but it's a reminder that these cognitive benefits aren't as simple as music training makes you smarter. This one just blows my mind. Today, engineers from the University of Pennsylvania and the University of Michigan announced they've created the world's smallest programmable robot. We're talking 200 by 300 micrometers wide and 50 micrometers thick. That's smaller than a grain of salt. You could literally perch it on the ridge of your fingerprint. This thing is 10,000 times smaller than previous autonomous robots, and it's completely programmable with its own processor, memory, sensors, and propulsion system. It runs on solar power, just 100 nanowatts, and it can sense temperature, think, act, and even communicate through what the researchers call a bee-like dance. The coolest part? It has no moving parts. It uses electric fields to create molecular flow for propulsion. These tiny robots can work together in synchronized groups, and they can run for months under LED light. The researchers are already thinking about future applications, like having these micro-robots monitor cells inside the human body. This was just published in Science Robotics, and it's a genuine milestone in microscale robotics. Here's a story that really resonates with anyone who's ever thought about a major career change. Aurora Bryant, 40 years old, recently left her dream job as a trial attorney at the US Department of Justice to pivot into AI. She'd been working on civil rights cases, important, meaningful work, investigating housing and lending discrimination nationwide. But the outdated technology and limited resources were creating massive inefficiencies, and it was frustrating. Her interest in AI started back in 2018 when she attended e-discovery conferences and saw how AI could transform legal work. By 2023, she became e-litigation counsel, building tools to streamline processes. Then earlier this year, she made the jump to Relativity as a senior legal data intelligence lead. Now she's collaborating with data scientists and engineers to build generative AI solutions for legal challenges. And she's even learning to code. Her advice? Understand your goals, passions, and strengths before making the leap. And be willing to step outside your comfort zone, even though, especially for lawyers, that goes against every risk-averse instinct. She says it's empowering, and she's excited about advancing civil rights through technology rather than adversarial litigation. And finally, let's end on something genuinely uplifting. Earlier this year, we saw some beautiful reporting on how virtual reality is transforming social experiences for older adults in retirement communities. A Boston-based company called Roundup is providing VR headsets to seniors in their 80s and 90s, and the results are remarkable. At the terraces in Los Gatos, California, residents are virtually traveling to Europe, diving with dolphins, riding in hot air balloons. One 81-year-old resident exclaimed about swimming underwater without holding her breath. An 84-year-old woman got to virtually revisit her childhood neighborhood in Queens, New York, memories she thought were lost forever. The community life director says VR acts as a conversation starter, helping residents discover shared interests and connections. Rendeavor operates in 800 communities across the US and Canada, and earlier this year they received a $4.5 million grant from the National Institutes of Health to study how this can reduce social isolation for homebound seniors and caregivers. Experts are highlighting benefits for cognition, memory, and intergenerational bonds. It's a beautiful example of technology being used thoughtfully to improve quality of life. These stories show the full spectrum of where technology is taking us. Massive wealth concentration raising questions about fairness, scientific insights into how our brains develop, engineering breakthroughs at scales we can barely imagine, people reinventing themselves through tech, and innovations that genuinely improve lives. We'll keep following these developments and bringing you the updates that matter. Thank you for staying informed with Digital Tech News. I'm Kylie Brooks, and we'll be back with more updates as they develop.